I hear you guys just fine.
Yeah.
Well, it's good. Well, we are in the throes of what we're going to do tonight. Are you all feeling well? We've had a lot of sickness and stuff. You guys good tonight?
I feel well
Yeah.
now. Yes.
Victoria, you look like you were in your office or something. You're looking very sophisticated and
Thank you.
serious.
It's the glasses. It's the glasses.
Well, we won't
I was
last.
hoping they would, get the little glare from the lights is bothering me tonight, but it's okay. I got a little headache. It's all right. It's all right. God is going to heal this. It's all right.
Yep, he definitely is. He definitely is. We're going to have our weekend review as always. And Victoria, I got you down to start.
Yep.
I'm going to go in the middle, and Ruth, you come up on the end,
All
and then
right.
turn it back over to Victoria. And Victoria, you'll do the bio read for tonight.
All right.
Okay, and I think everything else we've got straightened out. We got a great guest tonight to
Yes. Yes. Can't wait.
introduce her to everybody, and I think we're ready to go. Alan, you ready to turn us over? Well, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome, everybody. You have tuned into Authors Up. You're here on ALH Broadcasting. We are an affiliate of the Streaming Inspirational Broadcast Network. I got it out, guys. I thought I wasn't
Yeah.
this time, but I did. I did. So we are glad to have you with us this evening. We've got a great guest tonight. She's going to be sharing a good book, a really, really good book. And we're going to get to talk to her in just a few minutes. But as always, we start with our weekend review. Dun, dun, dun. I think we should have some kind of drum roll or something.
Especially when we have pretty good week, right?
Review.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to start. Victoria, we're going to start with you tonight. Tell us about your week. What did you have going on
Good
lately?
evening, ladies, and let's be first say Happy New Year to you guys again. It's our first official show that we're live for the year. So Happy New Year!
Yes.
Yes. Last week was a pretty good week. I have a new mindset for this year, and the first thing I did was I traveled back from Indiana. I got back Monday from seeing mom, and she's doing pretty good. Thank
Good.
God she's calm. So we're gonna work on her being calm for another few weeks before we see if she can go home. So just keep us in prayer. We're trying to see if we can get 24-hour care for her because she, at the point where she just really doesn't need to be alone after these two falls. But she's good, so I'm grateful. And
Good.
so for me, this year has been my motto for the year. I'm not making resolutions. It's about I have two words: execution and discipline. So discipline, number one, if I change my mindset, I can follow through on what I'm supposed to do. And that's execution. All these years have passed, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, fall by the wayside, come back. But this year is about discipline and execution. And my daughter got me a planner for this
Nice.
year. It is nice. Look, Elder. Look, I got a to-do
Oh, you
list.
got writing in it.
Yes.
Well, it's the seventh day of the year, so I would hope
Yes.
there's writing in
And
it.
this really kind of helped me keep on track this year. I mean, this last week, I've been just knocking out different tasks and keeping on
Awesome.
track. So I'm like, what did I do before I had a planner? I was just like all over the place. But I'm really, being that I have my show, have my businesses, this show, work, all this stuff. But this is like my life now, and I would recommend anybody get a planner. It's just been amazing how I have tackled all the tasks that I need to, having it written down in the planner. And last but not least, I want to share that I have made the appointment to get my passport.
Yay!
I go
Yay.
February 2nd. So I'm excited about that. That was on my to-do list. So that was my week in review. It's to start off good. It's the mindset, and doing well with my eating better and drinking my water. I even managed to get up a couple times this week and walk, not outside, but at least walk around the top floor and just get up. So I'm just pumped. This is a brand new year, new mindset, new hair, don't care, well, all of that. I'm
I
excited.
just remember that next week and the
Yeah,
week after
that's
that.
right. That's all
Yeah.
right. Discipline and execution. That's
All
it.
right. All right.
Right.
Discipline, execution.
Andrea, you had a look on your face.
When she said discipline and execution, or just period.
Well, at some point, you had a look on your face like you wanted to say something about her passport. That's what it was.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Is this the first time you've had one?
Yes, ever.
Oh, okay. Because you said you had an appointment, and I thought, why did she have an appointment?
Good, because it's new. I will be a new passport owner. I already did the TSA pre-check. I got that done last year. This year, I have no plans to go anywhere, right? But
Oh, okay.
I'm going to be ready.
That's good.
Okay, just remember your passport needs to have your parents' names on it.
Uh-huh. That's fine.
We had issues
Your
with
birth
that.
certificate,
But
yes.
with
No,
My
I'm
that,
just
birth
telling you. I'm
certificate.
just telling you from experience. I finally got all four of my birth certificates back.
My birth
You
certificate is just fine. I got both my
know.
parents'
Okay, good.
name on it, and all is well.
Okay, good. Good.
Thank
I
you,
got
Lord.
mine renewed. But okay, you had two words. Your words were execution and discipline. I
Yes,
have heard two words since the beginning of the year, also.
which
But
are
my two words are new and next.
all right. Okay,
Those were my two words. I keep getting
new and next.
new
Okay,
and next.
explain, Lucy. Explain.
I can't.
Okay.
That's what he said, and that's what I wrote down. So I figure he's got 300 some days to tell me all about it.
Okay.
But I think it is just being open to allow me to. I'm not going to say get myself prepared, because I think he's already put in us everything that we
Mhm,
need.
mhm.
It's funny because I believe that things are going to happen very quickly this year.
Amen.
I think it's
Amen.
going to
Come on,
be
Amos.
of looking at things in January and still looking at the same things in March and April. I just think things are going to move very speedily.
Come on, baby.
And I was invited to speak on or be a guest on a program called Wellness Wednesday.
Oh,
And
good.
uh, I looked at the list of guests who had been on, and they are like high powered people in charge of, lots of health initiatives and things like that. And and I immediately said, I'm a poet, not doing on Wellness Wednesday. But the father so wonderfully whispered to me and said, either you want it or you don't. So it was like he said, I'm opening the door. Now, are you going through it, or what are you going to do? So
Okay.
I told her yes, I would do it. So I
Amen.
know when the
Amen.
program comes on, and I will probably deal with it from the seminar that I used to do on the selfies and talk about self-image and self-talk.
That's
Because
There
it.
you go.
two things,
That's
Wonderful.
important.
those are the two things that lead you into self-sabotage. So that will be what I will be talking about on that.
Good for
Now,
you.
on the first of the year, um, they say it takes 21 days to form a habit, right?
Okay.
Okay. Uh, I am doing prayer for 21 days. He gave me 21 different prayer targets.
Mhm.
And the thing about it is, it's at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm getting up at dark 30 every day. and, and I'm about to fall on my face because I'm so sleepy. But he has
Oh,
already moved in some
man.
of those prayer targets. So I'm
Mm.
excited to see, what will happen between now and the time those 21 days are over. So I just feel like we have we talk about a clean slate and new things happening. And
Right.
I think that our authors are going to be very engaging and very exciting, and the books that they are bringing us are just going to be phenomenal this year. And I'm glad that we are starting with the author that we have tonight, and I'm just looking forward to great things happening. Good
Mhm.
execution, and I'm definitely going to take your grab your discipline one, because if I can, it's going to take some discipline for me to get through these next days to make this 21. So, and I thank you for the book Atomic
Okay.
Habits, Ruth, that you had given to me. So that's real helpful too. So
Love it. Love it.
that's my weekend review. That's my week. What about you, Ruth? What do you have going on?
Well, most importantly, so I've wanted to share this since Thanksgiving, but obviously I couldn't. Um, I'm getting a son-in-law soon.
Ah,
So my
congratulations.
youngest got proposed to on the 30th, so right before the new year. She said yes, of course. So we didn't expect anything less, but there was always that question. Um, but yeah, no, and we like him, we love him, and we're excited. So
Amen.
yeah, we were told today that that just means that we're old now. Our kids are grown and getting married and stuff, so we're old. But
Okay.
no,
Okay.
that's exciting. We've talked about watching your kids grow into
Yes. Yes.
really neat human beings, and
Right.
this is just the next step. So yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you,
And
thank
here we
you.
grow. Here we grow.
Yes. Yeah, I can't, and it's funny because when my daughter is the type of person, she doesn't have a whole lot of words to share. So like when he proposed, she just sent a picture of her holding up, her new ring and him smiling in the background. And we're like, oh yeah, I had told so many people at that point, I couldn't even remember. I'm still
Ah, and she
going
just
up to
sent the
people like,
picture.
oh yeah, I need to tell you. So yes. So I'm still at that point. I figured I'd just broadcast it at this point because I don't remember who else I told or didn't tell. So yeah.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you. So yeah.
exciting.
Yeah. So that happened last week. Yeah, it happened last week. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's pretty much what I've been doing. Yeah, I went back to work. Yeah, I did other stuff, but mostly I've just been telling everybody my daughter's getting married. So
Oh, have they
yeah.
set a date?
No, of course
No.
not.
Okay. All right. Okay.
No, and I figured they wouldn't yet. I have to give
Right.
them a list of dates to,
Okay.
not to
I
please.
mean, they might have had a plan, like, oh, we're going to get married next year or 2 years,
No, no,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
He
All right.
basically told us that he would like to be married within a year. So
Oh, okay.
To be married, what?
within a year by
Oh,
December.
within a year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is a
So
plan.
Tell them move that up. We haven't been to a wedding in a while. We
No,
need
that's
something to do.
yeah, I'll
I
let you know
think
once
that
they figure stuff out. So,
okay. All right.
but yeah, so that was my week. There
Good.
wasn't, like I said, other stuff happened, but it was just like that was up here, and I didn't care about the rest of the stuff. So that was
I
that was good.
So we
But
are
you know,
what?
we're I mean, I have nothing else to share, so let's get the show started.
Yes, yes. I'm,
Yes.
I'm, I'm excited for this. And our first author of the year
Yep.
I'm excited. I'm excited. All right. Let me calm down here. Our author tonight, her name is Teresa Sebastian, and she believes spiritual words and the sounds of nature soothe the inner being and define a place of peace. Creative writing is her way to release the soul and share herself with the world. Beautiful. When she is not writing, Teresa is an attorney, entrepreneur, law school professor, and philanthropist. She seeks to make a difference in the community and culture through her involvement with community and corporate boards. Teresa has always been compelled to put words to the human life she sees around her. When her children were young, she made up stories about characters that traveled around the world and immersed herself in the imaginative worlds of Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. She now composes children's jingles about her granddaughter and sings them to her. And we're going to talk to her tonight about her book, Lost Seeds The Beginning, which is her first novel. Teresa is a native of the Detroit Tri City area, and she currently resides in Nashville. She is a graduate of the University of Michigan and the Michigan State University School of Law. So, after this short break, it is going to be our pleasure to introduce you to Teresa Sebastian. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
There you are.
Hello, hello, ladies.
Hello,
Welcome.
welcome to our
Welcome.
show.
Hi. Hi.
Glad
All
to
right.
have you. Glad to have you on Authors Up.
Yes, as our first
Well,
guest of the year. Glad to
Yes.
have you.
thank you. Thank you. I listen, I am so honored after watching your show. I knew this was going to be a special journey today. I am just so excited.
Well,
Oh, thank
glad,
you.
glad that you are. We've been looking forward to it, so
Yeah.
we're glad that you're here. We're can't wait. So
Yes.
I'm a hush. She got something she wants to say, so we'll get started.
So Teresa, so that is actually my daughter's middle name, the one who's getting married now.
Wonderful.
Also, she was named after her great grandmother, my grandmother. So
Wow.
it's a family name, Levin. So, but welcome. We're glad to have you here, and we want to talk about your book, The Lost Seeds. Now, I will say, I am I am a book aficionado. We all are here. So, but I loved the cover, and we're going to talk about that too. But tell us a little bit about your book.
Well, as you know, the book is about two brothers, Dub and Tim, and they choose different paths beyond moving beyond their family's tragic beginning and the legacy of racism and enslavement that they were born into. And so it touches on, the historical northern migration. If you remember back in the early 1900s when this story takes place, a lot of African Americans were migrating north for a better life, for better jobs. It also touches on issues of being biracial at
Mhm.
that time and how that was started through, slave owners and others, violating Black women.
Mhm.
And then kind of the colorism that takes place even within our own race.
Mhm.
It also touches on mental illness,
Yeah.
Okay.
which is something that in the Black community, not until recently did we choose to really deal with it in a very healthy way. So it touches on how that is dealt with back in the early 1900s. And then the bigger theme is sibling conflict. And again, that's not something that we talk about much, within our households. There are many adages that say blood is thicker than water and,
Right.
those types of things. But then the question comes up in terms of how much do you really allow a sibling or someone, a relative to really disrupt your inner being and your sense of peace? At
Mhm.
what point do you need to move beyond them, or when do you need to embrace them?
Yeah.
So there are a number of themes that run through the book. It's not a big book, but it's very powerful. And I think there's something for everyone in there.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So tell us what inspired this story? What inspired you to write about this era, focusing on these characters in all of those topics?
Yeah. Well, there were a couple of manuscripts started before this,
Mhm.
and most of them took place in current time, but nothing really touched my interest. I felt like people were giving me suggestions and saying, "Oh, you need to write about this and that." And I said, "Okay, I'll write about that." But it really didn't resonate. I didn't really feel it within. It was just kind of external coming in, and I'm like, okay, this is not working.
Yeah.
So one day, a nice summer day here in Nashville, I was sitting outside on my back porch, and it's as if God just delivered a story.
Yeah.
I didn't have music on, it was quiet. I was kind of listening to the nature, and the story just came in my head, and I just started outlining it and called my son, who lives out in California, and he's a writer as well. And I read what I had in the outline, and he said, "Mom, that's a great story." And the characters just started talking to me.
Mm.
And
Wow.
all I had to do was type. Now, some would say, okay, that's a little wacky, but that's really the way it was delivered. And the interesting thing is my dad was a minister, and when he had to write his sermons, he would go in his office, quiet, close the door, and he would just sit there and write. And I never really understood, what that was all about. And he would say, God is speaking to him.
Mm.
And that is a very similar,
Mhm.
experience. I could just kind of hear the characters in my, talking back and forth and delivering ideas, and all I did was type it.
Mhm. Yeah,
Wow.
and we do not call that wacky. We call that part of the process. So I think we can all say that that is something that we've experienced. I know even like with all the novels that I've written, as different as they may be along the process, it's just understanding, okay, this fits in this, this fits in there, but understanding where it comes from, because ultimately I think God has a purpose in every word we write. And if we'll listen, it'll come out the way it's supposed to. So
Yep.
I
Absolutely.
had thought of a quote as you were saying, with your previous manuscripts. And I had read this somewhere or talking about it. It said a reader will often be right about the problem, but wrong about the solution. And
Mhm.
we have to be careful sometimes about the advice that we get,
Mhm.
listen, because obviously there may be a problem, but not everybody's advice will fit in. And obviously you knew where to go to get the remedy for that.
Yes. Yes.
But I had read through your book and then to your acknowledgement, and you included your parents
Mhm.
in that in a very, I thought, beautiful way. If you want to tell us about them and how
Thank
the
you.
the part that they played as you wrote
Oh,
your book.
okay. So let's see if I can get through this without crying.
It's okay. We'll cry
That's all
right
right.
with
We'll join you if
you.
we need to.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, the story, the nucleus of it really is about my great uncle, my mother's uncle. And I embellish a little bit upon his life because he was always a novelty. And But where my parents come into this is they were living in an assisted living, maybe 5 minutes from my home. And so when I decided to write the book, I would write a chapter and I would go and read it to my dad. My mom had progressive dementia and my dad had spinal stenosis, and they were both in their 90s. And so it served two purposes. It gave me a way of spending time and bonding with them in their, in their waning years. And they looked forward to it. So I would always, after I finished a chapter, I would bring it to my dad. I would sit there and read it out loud. He would close his eyes and I would think he was asleep.
Mhm.
But I'd finish the chapter and then I'd quietly close it. And then all of a sudden his eyes would pop open and he would, kind of give me little tips on, matching it to history a little bit more,
Oh, wow.
or how they're male protagonists. So he would give me his point of view
Mhm.
from a male perspective and from his experience of living in
Mm.
that day and time, because my dad was born in 1925.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
So he lived long enough to hear every single chapter, and actually, the second book he heard as well, because uh, the second book, the manuscript is already done. So he got to hear both of them.
Oh,
And
wow.
my mom, after my dad passed away, the book had not been published, but I was in the final drafts. It had been through, the editing process and such. And so I gave it to my mom to read. She was a former teacher, and she read every page. And sometimes, because of her dementia, she would have to go back
Yeah.
and reread. But she made her way through it, and she had little, and I still have it. She would put little post-it notes and make little marks,
Mhm.
um, and I will never get rid of
Mhm. Oh, no.
that draft of the book.
That is beautiful. That
It's
really is.
beautiful. Very beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
thank you.
So you have listed attorney, entrepreneur, professor. Y- Obviously, you're busy enough. Why add author to it? If creative writing is something that you've always done,
Yeah.
um, what in you said, "I need to write a book"?
Nothing said I needed to. Again, it was
Mhm.
just delivered, and
Yeah.
it was such a powerful um, gift that was delivered to me
Mhm.
that I knew it had to be shared. That's why it was given,
Right.
and so I had no choice but to give that gift to leave the legacy of what life was like at
Mhm.
that time. There are many great authors. I mean, we can name them that have written wonderful books about that era. But these characters wanted a voice, and so that's why the book, I felt compelled to add author. And I don't really think of it as authoring. I just think of being the conduit for history, the conduit for these characters, the conduit for helping people understand how women were treated then, the
Mhm.
dilemmas that they found themselves in.
Mhm.
Uh, the character Betsy,
Yeah.
she was a Black woman that she was taking care of so many people. She had
Mhm.
so many responsibilities, but it was like there was no one there for her.
Right.
And she just got lost,
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
you know. Fortunately, we don't have that today.
Right.
So I feel proud to be amongst those that have delivered stories to the world, and hope that people just enjoy it. I'm looking forward to delivering the second installment. So the second installment is about the next generation
Okay.
Oh, okay.
of the
Good.
family. in the early 1960s, and that's another critical era,
Mhm.
civil rights era where we were fighting, and how the next generation kind of processes some of the same uh, racial situations, and dealing with their neighbors and community, in light of civil rights, but still Dub and Tim,
Mhm.
are there for to kind of experience some of the things that they went through, but in a different day and time,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
with their children. So it'll be interesting. And the last installment is in outline form, and it will take place kind of in current time,
Okay.
Mhm.
and we will see how it all gets kind of reconciled.
Oh,
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. And I
mhm.
was going to ask you, are you going to have Dub and Tim in the second one? Because I need to understand what happened. I need to know. I need to know.
They're there with their grandchildren and their
Wow.
children,
Mhm.
and some of this stuff revisits. So we will
Yeah.
see. You
Yeah.
will see how it revisits them.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Now, did you imagine a series when you started this, or was this something that just ended up in development?
I did not. It just
Mhm.
kept the story just kept going on and on, and uh, it was just delivered that way. So I did not anticipate.
Mhm.
I knew that if I enjoyed the process for the first book, I would probably write something else.
Right.
But I never thought it would be delivered as a trilogy. And
Right.
Mm.
yeah, so it's a great family to see. To me, it's a situation where many of your readers may be able to see their family in some
Mhm.
form or fashion.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah. How
Definitely.
was the, research part of it? Because I imagine, there had to be that component if you're writing in about the 1920s.
Yes, well, the great thing about that is, I still had relatives that
Mhm.
could tell me stories,
Oh, nice.
about their experience or what they had heard, you know, my grandparents say, and I remember having conversations with my grandparents, so I pulled a little bit of that in. But yes, I did have to do actual research to make sure that settings were factually correct, descriptions
Yeah.
of, everything down to a kitchen, how a
Mhm.
house was made,
Mhm.
how things, you know, went. I had to research, the school, what schoolrooms looked like, so that I could put those visuals into words,
Mhm.
um, and make sure that, in terms of the days and times, that I knew what was actually going on in history
Right.
during that time.
Mhm.
So there was a lot of research. This book, and actually I include the second one. So both of these took me about 3 years
Wow.
to make sure I got it right, and I had the editor, kind of validate, to make sure that things were actually as they were. So between the discussions and the actual research, and listen, the internet's great when you're trying to look up history,
Yes,
reading
it
old
is.
newspapers, yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. All right. Well, I'm gonna hand you over to Andrea because she looks like she got a question anyway.
Well, I mean, you're handing her over after you talked about all the good stuff I was
Right?
asked.
There's no, there's still more good stuff to talk
Well,
about.
actually, the one thing that got me was about your parents, and Ruth did touch on that. And as a writer, and just writing little things like newsletters, blogs, and things like that, I know that I am always at a place when I finish, to say, "Gee, I wonder if this made sense. I wonder if this." and my poor family and friends that I know, I'm always calling somebody and say, would you read this for me, or would you listen to this for me? And to have that bond with your parents and the opportunity to read that to them chapter by chapter, I just thought was so special, just so
Yeah.
special. And I did want to mention that, because that really it meant a lot to me. Uh, I'm close to my father, and it did something to me and for me, to know that you were able to do it that way. Your writing is so vivid,
Mm.
and you were talking about the words on paper, but I love books that I can see,
Yes, I was going to say the
and I see your book. I really do. I see the fields. I see, the interaction with the characters, the things that were happening with the women. I mean, I can really see that just by the way that you wrote it. So you will be among those people who write great fiction novels from a period of time, because I just think that you really really have a talent for doing that, and I enjoyed it because of that. I could sit back and I say, oh, if I could close my eyes, boy, we really got something going here. And I thought that was great. But I know that you said it would took you 3 years 3 years to write
Yes.
the book. What was the most challenging part of the book? Because you are such a vivid writer and such an expressive writer. I don't know whether the story of Betsy and everything that she was going through and went through trying to hold it all together, or whether it was the treatment of the women. um, she had so many children, and I know you were saying that this was the routine and this was the pattern. When the children were all dismissed and just, went up on the hill and played games and did what they did, uh,
Mm-hmm.
while the women were taken advantage of. What were there any parts in the book, in the story of Dub and Tim and these wonderful characters that you've created, that was difficult for you to write?
Yes, I will tell you, the toughest part for me, and I don't want to be a spoiler, um, but there's an incident that takes place with Dub's son.
Yes.
That was very difficult for me. Um, you know, Having children myself, and you always want to be so careful. Um, I have had uh, friends, that have had experiences, terrible incidents with their children. And so that was the toughest
Okay.
thing for me to write about.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
I got angry, I got sad,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
cried at one point, but that was the story that was delivered to me, and it was very hard
Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
to
Mhm.
get through that part.
Mhm.
Wow.
Well, you've gotten through a lot in this book. I'm going to steal Victoria's words, because
Go
Victoria
ahead. Go ahead.
always tells our listening audience to get the book.
Get the book.
And it is something that I say to people tonight. Get the
The
book.
book.
It is
Mhm.
a phenomenal story. And as you are describing the fact that it was given to you that way,
Yes.
just makes it more intriguing. Um, I am a download writer as well.
Mhm,
I can tell my work that I made up in my head from it was downloaded to me, and I'm really not that good. But the downloads are
Those
always
divine downloads, right?
those divine downloads, and you have really crafted a wonderful story, and I can't wait. I can't wait for the sequel to come out. Yeah.
Thank you.
You
Thank
will
you.
be you will be among the greats, ma'am. You will be among the
Oh,
greats. Absolutely. I believe that.
well, thank you. But here's what I will say to that. And I always appreciate, very positive feedback. But as you know, nothing is done alone. Very little, I should say,
Mhm.
is done alone. I had some really wonderful close, besides my parents, I had some close friends who took the time to read,
Yeah.
do some beta reading for me.
Yeah.
They're voracious readers, very critical females. That's why they're my besties. And, so I had a lot of support. My husband, stepped aside to allow me the time, to write. I had a lot of competing obligations at that
Mhm.
time, besides trying to spend time with my parents. I have a list of other things that I do.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm just very thankful to God for giving me the story,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm thankful to my friends and family for, going on the journey and helping me get this out. And, the editors and the publisher and, all the above.
Yeah. Well, I said we'll say two words and then I'm out. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. Well done. Victoria, we are really kind of running on our
I
time.
know, I know. When Andrea said that you are a vivid writer, that was a word that I was definitely going to use. I I have a vivid imagination as well, and when I get a story that I could see it in panoramic view as I'm reading it, that is your book. And it made me. I'm so curious to find out what happened with the way it ended. Like, wait a minute, you left me hanging. I got to know what happened to Dub and Tim. No, don't do that to me. But it is a wonderful story. I really couldn't put the book down, to be honest with you. And you drew me in from the very first line, and that is just say it a lot. Say it a lot. So we've had discussions on the show about books, and how to write, and how to um, like make your very first sentence something that a reader would want to continue. And
Mhm.
your books is like that. So I'm gonna say again, y'all, get the book, get the book, get the book. But could you tell our listeners and our viewers where they could get the book and how they can get in touch with you? And,
Oh,
and let me
absolutely.
say one more thing.
Mhm.
You do not look like you are a grandmother. You are beautiful. And
Thank you.
when I read the bio and I said granddaughter, grandchildren, what?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Let's put it this way. I'm at the stage where I'm getting a little bit of qualifying for some government stuff now.
Well, okay,
It's great.
okay.
I'm just saying.
It's great. Let me tell you, it's great. I was offended at first when I
I
was
know, right?
called by AARP. I thought, what in the world? How
But they
dare
reach
they?
out to you before your 50th birthday.
I
I'm like, could y'all
know.
wait till I get there? But it's
And
okay.
and then all of a sudden I was seeing free. Yeah. I thought,
Right,
all right.
right.
It ain't too bad, is it?
So go ahead, tell us how you we can get the book and
Yes. So you can get the book certainly on Amazon.
Mhm.
It's also at Barnes and Noble, and it's
Okay.
at bookshop.org. But the easiest thing to do is to go to my author website, teresamoselysebastian.com, and it has links to everywhere that you could pick it up. It's also in audiobook form, it's
Oh,
in Kindle form. So a great reader. A gentleman is reading the book. Um,
oh,
oh, it is fantastic. And the reason I selected a male is because, the protagonists are two males.
Mhm.
right.
I auditioned a number of readers, and
Oh,
he just was spot on. So if you like audiobooks, certainly you will, hopefully you
I
will.
got a couple of credits. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, and there will be a book signing on January 25th at 6 p.m. at a Black-owned bookstore in Detroit
Oh, nice.
Oh,
called
nice.
yes, Source Booksellers, a wonderful female. One of the few in the United States. So she is sponsoring a book signing. And also, I'm arranging another one in Carbondale, Illinois, where I grew up. I spent the first 10 years of my life there, and a part of the story takes place there. So I'm working with the bookstore on a
Good.
book signing. And so please, all of that will be on the website.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Come to North Carolina, and 3 people that I know will be there.
Listen, I'm willing. I'm willing. Just tell me when and where.
It is a wonderful book,
It
and you
is.
can tell by the way we all are smiling. I mean, my face hurts. That we really, really did enjoy the book, and I thank you so much. We didn't get a chance to hear you read a portion of the book where you just were talking so much, but I just hope our listeners and viewers really get this book. It is a really wonderful story. Oh
Wonderful.
man, I just can't say enough about it. Get the book. You will not be sorry.
Well,
Absolutely.
thank you. Thank you. And listen, to each of you, Andrea, Victoria, and Ruth, I appreciate being invited
Oh,
to
of
to
course.
spend time with you ladies. This is the kind of stuff I like to do. Just
Oh,
Oh,
have little
we love it too.
chats. Chit chat. Great.
Can we see the book? Can you at least hold it up? We can
Absolutely.
see what it
Here we
looks like.
go.
there we go.
Yay!
Yes.
It's not
I
never
did
too far
I
away.
did w I did wanna ask just real quick because I know we're at time. What inspired, what was the inspiration for the cover?
You know, I found an artist, and he asked me to send him a summary of the book.
Okay.
And he came back with this cover.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
And again, it was one of those things that I said, "That's it."
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
captured it. So, his name is inside. He has full credit for that cover.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, he did a wonderful job,
He
and
did.
I will continue using that for these for the following books.
Oh, good. Good. We can't wait for it, the next one to come out.
Good.
Teresa, do you have any final words for our audience?
I
Just any words of inspiration you want to leave with us tonight?
I do, and those words are that history defines our future, and we cannot forget where we came from. Do not forget history, because it only serves to make us better as we move forward. And I hope that that happens in our country today.
Yeah.
And I want that to happen for each of us as individuals. Don't forget your history because it will define how far you go in the future. So that's it. And also buy the book.
Yes, yes.
I
Get the
love it.
book and don't forget your history.
Yeah.
Right.
Good things to remember from tonight's program.
Yeah.
Get
Thank
the
you,
book
ladies.
and don't forget your history. Teresa, thank you so,
Yes, thank
so
you.
much for being with us tonight, for sharing your journey, your writing journey with us, for sharing your book with us and some very poignant moments and things. We just really, really appreciate it. So glad you could be with us tonight. We are waiting for the sequel. So when it is done, if you decide that you want to share again, come back, join us. We got you, lady. Come on
I'm
back.
coming back. I
Yeah,
will be back.
Good.
Awesome.
Good.
absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for tonight, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here at Authors Up. We have a replay program on Saturday evenings at 7 p.m. If you enjoyed tonight and you want someone else to enjoy what we did with Teresa, be sure to let them know about that replay. We'll be happy, happy, happy to have them. But we will also be back here. Guess what? Next week. Can you believe it? We will be back here next Sunday night at 7 p.m. And I think we have another guest. Do we have a guest next week, Ruth? We don't have a guest list. It'll be just us.
It'll be something.
It'll look. Ruth has spoken. Uh, and what I'm
Oh,
getting ready to tell you is what we say every week. You want to come on back at 7 o'clock on Sunday evening because
yes.
you never, ever, 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 ever know what's going to happen on Offers Up. So
And that's
come
the
back,
truth.
join us. We'll be right here ready to welcome you. And thank you again, audience, for being with us. And Teresa, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's it for tonight, everybody. Have an absolutely amazing week, and we will see you next week right back here, 7 p.m. for Authors Up.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Night,
night.
girls. Bye.